Good evening, friends and viewers. Today, we are going to discuss a very important topic that is sustainability of small and medium enterprises. SME. So, today we are having Mr. Abir Mojumdar. He is CEO and the founder of uh, the Idea Factory. So, Mr. Majumdar will discuss and share his views the sustainability of SME. So, let's start the discussion by asking some important questions. So, Mr. Majumdar, tell me why these SME or the small medium enterprises are not sustainable in India. What is the main problem? I mean, what are the main problems behind that?
Good evening. Thank you for this fortnightly program. Uh, this is a very good conversation going on with Mr. Mukherjee, wherein we are, uh, discussing various aspects of the SMA business and seeing whether we can help add value to the business in India. Today, as already discussed, we are going to talk about the sustainability of SME businesses. Small and medium enterprises are a hot topic in India today. I mean, they are basically slowly becoming the lifeline of growth in India, especially at a time when businesses are, finding new ways. The new entrepreneurs are all gung ho and trying to increase the growth potential of India. Government is also giving a lot of importance to the SME business. So there is an MSME body, there are policies being formed, and there are a group of programs happening where the government is directly involved in promoting small and medium enterprises in India. With this backdrop, I will come to the question which Mr. Mukherjee puts forth, which is the question of the sustainability of SMEs. First of all, it is a very I would say this is a good time where SMEs are growing. And instead of going the way why SMEs are not sustainable, let me turn the question a bit around and say how some SMEs are trying to be successful. I think perhaps let us look at it positively first, and obviously the negative elements will come in the picture. Those SMEs, there are a few organizations which are have made a big name during the pandemic times, and have grown by leaps and bounds at a time when most of the businesses are failing. So if you look at the backdrop here, even in 2021, the IPO market has also opened, and those which were SMEs a few years back have now become IPOs. So we are talking of the Nika, we are talking of Paytm, and also maybe Byju's will be coming in a short while. So there are big names that are coming up who were nothing but SMEs just a few time back. And if you look at it, how have they become successful in such a short period of time vis-a-vis the others, many others who are actually not being able to grow so fast? Okay, so the basic part of a thought process that has gone into is that it has started with a lot of confidence. Those businesses that have succeeded are the businesses that have a lot of confidence at the beginning, and that they have sustained till they reach a particular growth phase. Now, this confidence or passion or the motivation of the entrepreneurs goes a long way in sustaining the growth of the organization. Okay, so that being also, there has to be a certain amount of vision that has to go from the entrepreneur to take it to the next level. For example, if today we are seeing Facebook, which is connecting across the globe. I mean, it's a service that's connecting across the globe. Till some time back, it was small SME. Okay, but today it is growing. So it has been guided by a certain amount of vision in the whole process. At the back end of it, I think SMEs, there it's a quite a bit of a struggle for SMEs to make it so big. Okay, not everybody can do it because you need a certain amount of funds, you need a certain amount of contacts, and you actually have to grow very fast. The key aspect of growth of big companies vis-a-vis the small ones, they have actually grown very fast vis-a-vis the other ones who are growing very slow, and that cannot happen with every SME because of the fact that businesses, even businesses are started by individuals who are at certain juncture of their lives, and they have a certain amount of funds or contacts or wherever they come from. They can only grow that much. They cannot grow that fast. Okay, so it is definitely a function of certain amount of function of funds, certain amount of function of vision and clarity, and also maybe the right people that they have got along the way, because a lot of energy goes in building contacts and building an ecosystem through which the business will grow, and that for many people is quite a different journey. Here we are not talking of businesses which are come from business backgrounds, which already have a reputation that has been built by their previous generation. We are not talking of that. Perhaps we are talking of those who are starting from on their own. So it's actually a building of a new identity, and that takes a lot of time. Even those who are, and there are different stages where SME start. Like people who are freshers, who are fresh out of college. They could be the guys who are, building some businesses after out of college, or people who have been in the job market for about 10 or 15 years and then they start something on their own. And thirdly, there could be people who have retired and they start on their own. There are pros and cons for everything. While everybody might say it's the best season for them to start young, but at the same time they don't have the experience. So and the guys with 10 or 15 years of experience perhaps are the best position, because they have some years in their hand of growth. They have seen the job market. They have built a certain amount of comfort in the way they work, and also perhaps they have some funds in their pocket. Okay, so and also they have some contacts which they have built over the years, which cannot be built over time. So perhaps that is a kind of a positioning, or like which SME segment succeeds today. In fact, the reason there has been a lot of talk about Nika growth, and the entrepreneur is about 50 years old, and people question how could she be 50 years old and built up a business from start to a IPO level in 8 years time. 8 years is very fast for someone who does not may not have the business background. Okay, or who is starting from scratch, because it's a new identity. Just because you have been MD in a company before doesn't make it easy for your startup for people to start buying. It's not about your growth, it's about people buying your business, buying your products and services. And that will not happen in a jiffy. So it's quite a bit of struggle. But at the same time, there are people who are doing it with a certain amount of vigor, certain amount of funds, certain amount of experience, and clear differentiation of their products vis-a-vis what is available in the market. This we are continually saying in every session, that your product has to be differentiated from what is available in the market. Only then you will get clients in big numbers. Okay, and it has to solve a problem which the people have been facing over a period of time. Just a cosmetic change over a product that is already available will not give you a sustainable line of customers until and unless your product brings something new or adds some value to the already existing life of the people. Then SME will not be able to build a very big business. So every SME or every business that is making this big perhaps bring something new to the bit, and before others can copy, have taken it beyond the economies of scale. Because every business can be copied, and if there is some success, there are people who are going to copy you. And if the bigger businesses copy you, you will lose out because they have the deeper pocket. So first of all, you have to build a business which is unique, and also grow it very fast. I think these are the basic things. Otherwise, in terms of tricks, in terms of hacks, there are we read in the papers, and maybe over a period of time we would be able to give you a certain amount of matrix how SMEs can succeed. But as of now, these are the small things that we can tell over a public platform at this point in time.
Yes, that is very true. So we need to take a positive outlook on that. India has got more than 6 crore of SMEs. So, but the success rate is less than 10%. That is the main problem. But we are very optimistic that if we need to achieve that $5 trillion economy, so there has to be the growth in the SME sector. So we are very optimistic that we think that SME will play its vital role in making that process successful. So my next question is that what should be the purpose of the business owner in the SME for conducting the business? What should be the purpose? and how can they discover the purpose?
Right. I think this is a very good question, and that goes beyond the immediate requirements of money making or a profit motive of a business. Of course, every business is a profit motive for the entrepreneur or the business person or the business group, but that doesn't define the success. The success will be defined by the value that the business adds to the society at large, which means that it has to provide some service to people which they were looking for. Okay. For example, if you are looking at urban company today, and the kind of service that urban company is giving to be today as an organized sector, we have it has always been there on a very unorganized level, but putting it down into a package, then converting it in a pan India basis, small things, but it brought a lot of change into the way the cleaning is being done and the way servicing is being done. So maybe they have repackaged the whole thing in the same way, but they have brought it in such a systematic way that this unorganized sector has now been converted into organized sector. The plumbers, electricians, etc., are just a phone call away, and that has made a lot of difference. Like this, the every business has to find its own service which it is trying to build over a period of time. A hospital, for example, the idea is not to make a profit making or a non-profit making, but also to serve people and to focus on certain diseases where it can solve for, so that that becomes a destination for people to go to in case there is a particular disease at that. To build that kind of a differentiator or the purpose for the business takes a lot of passion and consistency. The entrepreneur has to take it as his own internal call that my hospital is going to serve people on this particular disease. Okay. Similarly, a school might say that my school is going to serve children, but it's going to give some special education to the children, and that is how we are going to differentiate ourselves from the other school out there. So the purpose beyond profit making becomes the larger call through which a business can sustain or communicate to the world that we are here for this purpose, and if you have such a problem, we are the guys that you are going to contact. Okay. So the growth will happen automatically, but the understanding or the clarity or purpose to which a business is being built. For example, I'm talking of calling from my own experience of telecom, because when telecom started, of course they wanted to connect people to people. So if that connectivity, now compare that with the world before, which was the landline model, and then suddenly everybody is available, and everybody can be reached one to one through a mobile phone. It changed the world, right? And automatically the business proposition worked because it was perhaps a good time, and people had not thought of it before. Once one of them came in, there were so many of them coming over, and it became a rat race. But at the same time, it was started with a larger motive of connecting people through mobiles, and it changed. They were on a 24 by 7 connectivity. People were on a 24 by 7 connectivity just by a hand phone. Today, with a digital connection also, or even a WhatsApp, people are connected. But these all have been like, if you look at even WhatsApp, or even Facebook today, they are connecting us to the larger world at any point of our convenience. It is not, of course, they have a business model, of course, they have a revenue model at the back end, but the way they have communicated to the people at large, the common citizen, is to make them available to reach out. Today, reaching out to another person is not a big issue. Previously, we remember we had those telephone directories
Right.
which we had to search to get the phone numbers, and then
Yes.
people might be available, people might not be available. Today, there are a plethora of ways where people are available through mobiles, through phone, through emails, digitally, all the social media. There is no doubt how people can reach different people. So these have all come from a larger social perspective beyond national boundaries, because here we are using services. Many of them have crossed boundaries, and these are international services that we are seeing today. Okay. So having said that, these larger purpose of businesses have been they have enabled people to grow businesses on a larger scale because people could connect with the purpose for which the business has been built. So I think this is a very large, proposition for businesses to think over, and they must think of this before they build their business model. Like what problem, what service we are going to offer to people, what benefit this is going to give to people. I think they have to think of that before building up their own proper business model.
Definitely, because their objective should be beyond profit-making objective. So means they need to start with the society and they need to start with the people on planet. So then only the actually money is the money or the profit is the byproduct. If they can do those things in a proper way, so profit or the money is bound to come. So my next question is that what are the strategic elements of SME business? What are the strategic elements?
Yeah. So this is another very interesting question. Now, I think there are certain elements of strategy we have already discussed in the last few sessions. I may have to repeat a few of them on this topic. First of all, is to have a positioning of the product or the service wherein you position yourself very uniquely and you solve a real world problem. Okay. Secondly, you have to keep your customer in mind and you have to believe that you have to offer something at a very affordable price. Okay, their SME business, for them to offer affordable price is also very difficult because there are some products that might have a back end cost, and maybe economies of scale will help them reduce the prices. But these products, but the client cannot afford, the people cannot afford today, so that there is a trade off. Like you cannot price it very high, you have to price it moderately where customers can afford it, and at the back end you have to keep on bearing losses till raise the till you can have some understanding or pulse of the customer to raise your prices. Okay. So and we are in a free market, so a lot of things are available today freely. So maybe you must also look at that business landscape and cannot offer everything at a price. You have to give away certain things free, and only then people are going to buy stuff. Okay. So that's the model that many of the people are following, be it service, be it product. People do give away certain things free of cost for them to try out, and then price or position it in a such a way so that they go to the market and buy it. Okay. So that's one of them. Also, SME businesses have there are real resource problems. You don't expect them to have too many funds, you don't expect them to have too many contacts or too many customers, but they have to navigate and build the businesses over a period of time. So you have to work smart, and every SME has to find out its own territory. There is no clear cut formula or strategic direction that we can give you. Direction we can give you, but data points we cannot tell you that, because every business or business person or entrepreneur that starts, he starts from his own journey. It's actually his own life journey. So there is no fundamental method of copying one on the other. But at the same time, we must also understand that every business has to rely, or the business person has to rely on his own capabilities before involving other people in the journey. I think that's a very clear. I have seen, or we are seeing, a lot of businesses. We are actually on the rush of getting a lot of people on the journey. Okay. And that might make it a bit more chaotic, because in that case your own journey or your own direction might get dissolved, and you might be guided by people who might be supporting you with capital or funds or whatever, and your own journey gets diluted. So it's important for you to spend some time as a solo entrepreneur to just connect with people loosely, build the business, and then involve people along the way, and slowly take it from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. So if you're actually talking of an IPO as a stage 4 journey, you actually have to be profitable in each of these stages. You have to be profitable in stage 1, then only you can go to stage 2. You have to be profitable in stage 2, then only you can go in stage 3, and that's how the journey should be. Okay, so you have to start small, be profitable in that situation, go to the next level, be profitable in this situation, and get funds accordingly. You just should not be here. We are seeing a lot of I was surprised to see that their businesses have gone to the level of IPO, but they are still loss making. I mean, how can you go to an IPO level, but you have not built up your profitability model? You should have fixed up that first before rushing into the IPO. There are people willing to pay you money, but if you don't have control over your own business, you are actually playing with the trust factor or the funds or everything of other people. So be profitable at a small model, then you go to the other. So I don't say there are businesses who are growing very fast, okay, and there are businesses who are growing very slow. So you don't have to grow either very fast or you don't have to grow very slow, but somewhere in the middle, so that you take challenges along the way, get some results, and then go to the next level. I think these are the small uh, local elements that I can see. Otherwise, we have to go very specific to businesses, and that might vary.
So in small and medium businesses, SME, why that business automation is required?
Can you repeat the question once again?
In SME space, small and medium industry business space, why business automation is required? Because we have seen the people are doing everything manual. So I think there is a room for making the automated process. So means why it is so important? Because they cannot afford to have big IT infrastructure. So just throw a light on that. Business
Right.
automation.
Yeah, because today's we have to remember that every today's startups or SMEs are products of digital revolution. Okay, you cannot isolate the two. Okay, so today, if the customer is you might be doing manually, but you will be feeding a customer who is digitally connected. So until and unless you are on a digital platform, in some way, you do not have to be compare yourself to with the biggies in the market. But if you are in the digital market, you will not be able to reach out to the customer in that way. Okay, have because digitization also helps in the process, because it helps you in the reaching out to customers far and wide. Your location doesn't matter in the physical or the manual process. You are only locally connected, but in the digital model, at one go you are nationally connected or perhaps internationally connected also. Okay, so that breaks the boundaries of geography once you do it. At the same time, today, if you're talking of automation, there are so many automation tools available. Some of them free, some of them are at a price. But automation, for example, this the artificial intelligence that we are seeing in everything that we see. Like once we Google out something, lot of things are coming up to us because we have searched that. That helps businesses to divert traffic to people who are actually interested in one particular area. Similarly, when we offer a product or a service, if some people are connected digitally or connected online, if our services are directed to only that focus group who are looking for that services or the products online, no more on the physical stalls, that gives a lot of focused marketing of the product. Okay. Similarly, today you have so many automation products. You have AI, you have ML, you have all the smart gadgets that are available. So these are all today's reality. So today's SMEs have to compete with today's business landscape, and that will actually help them to reach out to customers in a smart way. Nobody will appreciate a manual method of a business model wherein you reach out to the customers through a manual method vis-a-vis your competition who are already there. Please remember that your customer is already upgraded today, so you have to serve that upgraded customer, and for that you have to back end, you have to automate. Also, there are a lot of repeat processes that people have been doing. No more. No more repeat processes will be done. It can be automated, and the data points, the digital dashboards, everything, if they are automated, it releases a lot of time for the people, for the entrepreneur or the people in hand. If it releases time, they are focused on customer interfacing, but no on the research or getting data from the clients, or what kind of things they are looking for. If they are in an automated mode, and they can be put together, even the financial systems or the marketing systems, if they have a work on a proper infrastructure, on a digital infrastructure, okay, automated infrastructure, that gives a lot of system also in the whole process. Of course, digitally they are also there are some errors also happening. Okay, but imagine how banking, for example, if you take the example of banking, how digital banking has brought out of the us out of the clutches of the branch visits to branches. We are no more visiting branches. And if a new bank comes up today, if it wants to open up gold the old way, vis-a-vis what is already available in the market, it will not work. Okay, so if banks are today digitally available, it's all available in my hand phone. We can do so many transactions through my phone. Put together, I think each of the SMEs have to invest certain amount of energy in automating their process and bringing it to the
Hello.
market.
আরে বাড়িতে আমার লাইট চলছে বাড়িতে ট্রাফিক কম কিন্তু Yes, basically means another important question is that particularly the SME space, they face actually problem in recruiting the talents and also mobilizing the talents. So how can they solve this problem?
This is a continuation of the older question, wherein we are seeing that SMEs have to take up things which they can afford to take. Okay. Now the issue is SME cannot behave like a big organization. Okay, it cannot have the talent pool, or it cannot have a big infrastructure, and that's the reality. And that is the every journey which every entrepreneur goes through. It is nothing unique to the SME out here. Okay, because today's big businesses were SMEs a few decades back, or maybe a decade back. So they also started in a very humble way, and they did things or took a business call, whatever suited them. Okay, so talent requirement will be a challenge for SMEs, but at the same time, I think what we are seeing is there is a hunger for good work. Okay, if you connect it only to the money part, that salaries, we won't be able to pay the salaries to get the good talent. Please remember, your value proposition may attract people more than the money, right? So let us focus on the value proposition of the business, or the offering that it is offering to the business, and whether that is exciting enough for the brightest of the talents to join you, either in a part-time or a, to be very loose, because we are working with a lot of people, and some of them have been excited by the proposition that we are offering, and they are working part-time with us. To the time will we build a strong revenue model for us, and that might be also a positioning for us. It makes no sense to recruit people if they leave you in 6 months time or 7 months time, and that we have seen in bigger organizations also. Please remember, even if you're large and big, there will be people joining you and leaving you in 6 months time or 1 year time. At no point, even today, Infosys and Wipro and all the big companies that we can name, even Bharti Airtel, people do join them and leave them. There's no way that as soon as you become a big company, your talent will come here and stick to you. If they leave in 6 months, the talent that has come to you is of no use. All right. So you have to face this challenge at every stage, whatever size you're big. There is always another company that will pay them bigger salaries. Okay,
So,
and there might be people for various reasons, may not be reasons focused on work, but he might relocate to his hometown and just want to leave your job. Okay, so
so
there will be issues for bigger as well as smaller issues. So talent will, it's not a journey that will stop once you become a big company. It will, you have to live with that talent, and you will be forever trying to retain talent once you bring them on board. Okay, so it's better to start small, impress them with the work content, slowly bring them to the revenue or the profit or the, whatever money model, convert that into a full-time job, at least for some after some time, and then slowly build the size of the organization of the period of time. Okay, I think that's the only way. Otherwise it would be, there's no magic wand through which an SME can fix up a talent issue.
means how the thought leadership can help in this regard. Basically, not only the talent acquisition and retention, but also in total SME function.
I think we are talking of thought leadership in every session, and how thought leadership can influence SME business today and tomorrow. Okay, So, as we have already discussed before, thought leadership is kind of a mindset, and of course, not only a mindset that will translate into a framework, a methodology, policies through which innovation is encouraged in an organization, which means you create a future, okay, through ideas and innovation which do not exist today. Okay, so if you create a future, if you want to create a future, obviously there your SME, the business proposition or the value proposition that you are talking of, has to be very exciting. Just as we've told in the last question, it has to be very exciting, and has to be something new that we are offering which is not available in the market. Okay, so that being the first one. Secondly, slowly, I there are another thing, as and we have already told you that you have to take the, first of all, do something, serve your customers in a new way, in a new method. Also, another thing of thought leadership is that just because you've worked in organizations for 15 years and you've gathered experience doesn't give you an automatic surety if you follow that process, and when you build up your startup, whatever you have seen in large organizations, you cannot copy it, because now you are starting a new journey, and the client that you are serving is different from the client that you were serving when you were in a bigger organization. So you have to make a clear cut, it's a new effort, it's a new journey, and that may take some while, and understanding the bigger pulse of the customer, offering some products or services that is new to the market, and also remain connected to the customer all the time. I think in today's time, the 24 by 7 connectivity, either through an app or through multiple process of customer connectivity, gives us the understanding or the pulse of what the customer wants. A closed looped business model is very important, which means that once you give your product to the customer, and then the customer comes back to you for every small thing, and that gets captured in your system, that gives very clear indication of what the market wants. Okay, and this can help you improve your product and services over a period of time, so the next customer is served in a very big way. Okay, and also I remember even today when we take up a subscription of a particular service for a year, the whole year nobody calls us. When we are trying to renew, when the time of renewal is coming, salespeople start calling us. Your term is expiring, we are going to offer you this, provided you renew it within this short period of time. Okay, as a thought leadership concept, I think we have to do away with this opportunistic behavior of businesses. Okay, if you are serving a customer, you should be with the customer even after making the sale. Okay, and that makes, of course, he will make the purchase, he will take the risk, but you have to show he's worth you the purchase. So you have to add more value to his systems and services. We while on one hand we have bad experiences of customers, we also have good experiences of customers. So thought leadership, if you say in terms of designing the product, designing the service, designing also the business model also has to be new, because if you go by the old traditional model of building a very large organization, it will take you a lot of time. It is always better to build a small organization, very small organization, which are customer interfacing and the creative part intact within the organization, and allow all the big things, all the other routine things to be outsourced, which we have already covered in the other sessions also, that allow the routine things to be outsourced, but build a small organization, nimble, fast, which responds to the requirements of the market, and brings out new products every 2 or 3 months. I think that is also the customer wants. He
Definitely.
doesn't want a product or a service which is there today, but also wants newer products over a period of time. I think put all together, thought leadership is a entire framework that we are
Absolutely.
trying to build, which might give a new business, a new direction, and make happy customers in the whole process, and make it much more bigger and profitable. In a short, that is what I wanted to say.
So thanks a lot for having your views on it. So we'll continue our discussion in next episodes, and we will also come out with the offers that we are planning for the SME. So thanks a lot for having in our show. So we are going to wrap up the discussion for the day. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.